Hey, what's up, MotoAmerica fans? It's Josh Heron. Make sure you subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel to see all the up-to-date content. Like and subscribe. Don't forget my channel, too.
We are live and we are hot, but we are hot and we are still alive. Even though we are smoking, it's 100 degrees. It feels like it's 130 here at the Ridge Motorsports Park in Shelton, Washington. And the MotoAmerica Twins Cup ready to kick off with their second race of the weekend. Stop number 4 in the MotoAmerica Championship season. The Komatsu MotoAmerica Superbikes at the Ridge. Robbie Floyd with Roger Hayden, and there's the winner from round 1. Jackson Blackmon finally getting that victory he's been searching for. Didn't start the season off with us. He was injured, but once he's been here, he's put his stamp on it saying, I still want to win this championship.
He's been consistent ever since, like you said, an injury the first round, missed the 2 races we had at Atlanta. But ever since then, he's been there at every race, either on the podium, fighting for wins, and yesterday he ended up getting his first win, and now he's only 12 points out.
Another race winner just behind Teague Hobbs. As we take a look at yesterday's race, we saw our front runners. They were up there, they were down. We saw some overheating. Let's take a look at yesterday. Let's just try and talk this through because it was definitely interesting. Anthony Mazziato on the inside, the top qualifier, the pole sitter, with Jackson Blackmon cutting under early on.
You can tell those 2 at the front, they did not want Anthony Mazziato to get in the lead and get in his rhythm after his lap times in practice.
No, they did not. You see the Robham Engineering crew up there as well. Caleb DeCarroll, but Mazziato now battling up to the front, and you see Caleb DeCarroll and Jackson Blackmon. Hey, what happened to Mazziato? We would soon find out. It wasn't necessarily a tire. That Aprilia was overheating. Evidently burped a little fluid on the tire, and that's why he went down. Now the race up front. 2 very fast racers. Caleb DeCarroll trying to get in that tuck and pull on that Yamaha, but it was not to be had. The 18 of Jackson Blackmon takes his first win in MotoAmerica Twins Cup, but Caleb DeCarroll extends his points lead as we take a look at the championship coming into today. 12 ahead of now Jackson Blackmon, with Teague Hobbs only 18 behind. So you see 1 race differential between our top 3. Anything can happen. Chris Parrish unfortunately dropped back. He was second, went to 4th. Had a brake issue yesterday. Jody Berry, another rider on that front page, dealing with some heating issues. So they're going to have to sort that out if they're going to finish all of these 12 laps today. But again, these are the standings coming into this second of 2 races this weekend.
Also, it's something to watch for all their Aprilias talking about they're having heating issues. So, one might not have yesterday, but that doesn't mean they couldn't today.
Yeah, and it's something that's on their dashboard. It goes from like yellow, red to blinking red, basically meaning pull over. We saw Jody Berry yesterday do just that, the 717 that's back in the picture on the far left. He didn't wait for the motor to melt down. He pulled in, probably smart, because there's only so many engines and parts available. Made the right choice. He lost a lot of points in doing so.
He lost a lot of points, but in doing so, he saved the engine, which he could have did a lot more damage. And really, like you said, there's not a lot of spares for these Aprilias. They're new. If he would have, ruined his engine, he might be out for a couple races. And if it was the last race of the year, you're in the points battle, I would have said, yeah, definitely risk it.
Burn it down. And the thing is, with these bikes being homologated late, and a lot of them have to run stock ECUs, electronic controls, what really governs that bike and how it reacts and behaves. Been told to make those things pass emissions, because these are street legal motorcycles originally. To pass emissions, they kind of keep them a little bit lean. Well, in the racing world, lean's great, but you get to a certain point, you're going to burn the motor up, or it starts getting too hot, you can't handle it. So that's kind of where they're at right now. And let's take a look at their starting grid. For these riders, it looks like over 20 on the line this week. Brought to you by Cardo. Anthony Mazziato still takes pole ahead of Jackson Blackmon and Caleb DeCarroll. And I was told by the Robham guys with Caleb DeCarroll and Hayden Schultz and Toby Comstock that they went back and put the stock fans on the back side of those radiators, trying to keep it cool whenever they sit down for just a moment, so at least pull some air through those radiators. Chris Parrish yesterday, I talked about, he had a brake adjustment knob brake on him yesterday, and he came into a turn, went to grab the front brakes, and there was none. And he said, yeah, I've been running endurance racing for a long time. I knew how to let her down at speed. And he did just that. But he had some work to do yesterday afternoon. Sam Weiss had some shifting issues. He's going to start on the inside of row 13. Thinks they got those sorted out. Rodney Vest and Valentine Welch rounding out our field on row 7. So a couple things to look for. This is a 12-lap race. They're racing basically about probably the similar temperatures than they did yesterday. Maybe even a little bit cooler because we got up to almost 100 degrees at that time. So it might be a little bit cooler for them than it was yesterday, and that should help out several of our bikes in all of the classes running earlier. All right, let's go down to our partner who's trackside, Michael Hill. I know you got to be a little toasty down there at the tarmac.
Yeah, it's lovely and warm down here. Not sure that the riders will be sharing the same sentiment, but just really quickly before lights out, interesting to see Toby Kamsuk of the Robum engineering team. He did a practice start on his way out to the warm-up lap, and again, with the issues that we saw yesterday from the Aprilias, I just wonder whether they've made any changes. I know that talking to Travis Wyman just a few moments ago in the podium, they actually started cutting some holes in the side of the fairing on the BMW to try and keep it cool. So I don't know if you'll pick it up on the cameras, but will we see any sort of last-minute modifications to keep these Twins Cup bikes as cool as possible? It was a race of attrition yesterday. Only 11 riders finished. It could be the same today.
Thanks, Michael, and that's a great call because I was like, you can't open up more radiator, but you can maybe gain more entrance into that radiator. And it's not just Twins that have to deal with it. Every bike has to deal with it. I know some of the Junior Cup guys were struggling yesterday with heating as well, so it's just going to be a factor. If you haven't been watching the news this weekend, it's supposed to get up to 108 degrees here in Shelton, Washington, something that has never been recorded before, the hottest ever in these neck of the woods. I'm from Texas. It very seldom gets there, and it is going to be unbelievably hot. It's hot right now, but let's find out. Can Anthony Mazziato take this pole position into a win? The lights are off. A good run by Jackson Blackmon. A little bit of a wheelie out of DeCarroll on the near side. And just like they were on pole, they're going to start that way, and it looks like Hayden Schultz in the 4th as well. A nice smooth transition for all our Twins in that first turn.
And Jackson Blackman's already made a pass on Anthony Mazziato. You know he doesn't want to let Mazziato get away.
One other thing to look for is if you get right behind the tail of somebody, you're not going to get all that airflow as well, Roger.
That's another thing that some guys, they don't want to be right behind them. You know, if they're having overheating issues, especially in the front straightaway, they're going to want to move over a little bit so they can get all that air.
Typically, we're talking about guys wanting to get in that draft and tuck. There's not too many places to draft here at the Ridge.
Hayden Schultz with the pass around the outside.
Ooh, who was that? Dive bomb on the
missed
inside.
another one.
Who's the white bike that was cruising in there? That's Jody Berry, another Aprilia. This moved into 4th, and that was a good move. I say dive bomb, but it was just a move to the inside, and very well done. And here comes Hayden, but overcooked it a little bit, was able to get her turned and didn't lose any time. He's trying to do about every over and under he can do, Kenny, in the 49. It's just behind Robum Engineering. Aprilia, so Yamaha, 3 Aprilias, 4 Aprilias, make it even 5 Aprilias. Oop, Kamsuk, I think the one going wide. Teague Hobbs going to go underneath. Teague Hobbs is 79. Still in that championship hunt. Look at the start. And everybody making it nice and smooth. A little different here at MotoAmerica where they make that chicane on the first lap. They don't typically do that in the regional and local races. They continue along the front straightaway, and that's their typical first turn. But here we have this section right there, kind of slows them down a little bit safer. Kevin Carroll dropped back to 4th, and that's the story because he is your points leader, and he does not want to lose points, but more importantly, he loves those race wins. He's going to be upset if he finishes 4th today, I promise.
On that first lap, he lost a couple spots into the 7-8 area, and looks like he was really aggressive into 13, got a couple spots back. He doesn't want to see these top 3 guys were starting to get away, and he knew he had to make some moves pretty quick.
Jackson started to get that Yamaha dialed in. Again, it was a new bike to him. He would run the Suzuki last year at times. This bike itself, the way that the horsepower runs, a little bit different. It's a wider bike. It feels different. It takes a little time getting used to, and I think he's getting used to it pretty well. Ooh, Mazziato going underneath, and you see trying to push a little harder is Schultz. He's going to be on the outside. It's going to set him up for the inside coming up next. And there he is. Can he hold on to it? Now he's going to drift wide and take the line. Hayden Schultz, excellent pass into that second place. Now we're seeing what we expected out of Hayden Schultz. I think you're starting to get that bike a little bit closer. And 3 wide going into this left. Who can make the turn? Caleb DeCarroll can. Wow. I did not see that coming.
Me either, especially getting it stopped to make the corner to come from 4th to 2nd.
But you saw it looked like Mazziato was so focused on Caleb's teammate Schultz that he forgot about that inside, and here comes Schultz. Coming down that front straightaway at 28 miles an hour that last time for Jackson Blackmon. Blackmon on the Jackson Blackmon Racing Yamaha, a little bit of separation at a little over a second that last time around, but Caleb DeCarroll moving now into that second spot. We'll see if he can close down as they look like Mazziato trying to put some pressure on back there in 3rd. Let's take a look back at what happens into this left-hand turn, Roger.
Look at Caleb there on the inside. This is the hardest part. See how far he's inside, is trying to get it stopped for the corner.
To this point,
as turn 13 goes down and not running wide.
Again, it looked like Mazziato had all his focus on what was on his outside in Hayden Schultz. And here comes Dive Bomb Willie to the inside, making it 3 wide. Maybe last year in Super Sport with Pash and SDK and Escalante, we might have seen 3 wide in there, but it's not too often. And it looks like Caleb has picked up the pace. Caleb DeCarroll out of Texas. Now on that Robham Engineering team, it's a 3-rider team. They currently have DeCarroll in 2nd, Schultz in 4th, and Toby Komsuk back in 9th. And we saw Komsuk up there near the front, but he's dropped back.
He made that mistake in turn 13 a couple laps ago and ran wide, and I think actually almost off the track.
So he's doing good just to hold on to that position. He just needs to keep one of his team managers away from the bikes. Carl Price evidently he rode his bike at the Virginia test and fell over pulling into the pits, and they had a few giggles of that. And then the other day he knocks it off the bike stand. So I don't know what it is about Toby Komsuk's bike, but it's got some bad luck going his way.
Looks like Caleb DeCarroll that last lap caught up to Jackson a half a second. So if he does that again this lap, he'll be right there.
And that was a best overall lap of the entire field, a 1:48.38. As compared to Jackson's best lap was a half a second. It looked like best time 1:48.88.
And also it's quite a bit quicker than Caleb DeCarroll went yesterday. So that kind of surprises me a little bit today with it being so much warmer, track temperatures up, and all these guys in all of our races so far have been faster than they were yesterday.
Here's that battle for 6th. Teague Hobbs and Chris Parrish. The mechanical issue yesterday cost Parrish and had to throw it away and repair that bike and get it going again. Teague Hobbs, we've seen him up front, a race winner this year, and has the ability right now trying to get up there near the top 5. Jody Berry holds that 5th spot. Teague Hobbs on the Suzuki. He's the top Suzuki right now. Both of these guys on Suzukis. We've seen Parrish past couple of years go between the Yamaha and the Suzuki, and he seems to be more consistent on that Suzuki power plant. There's the battle for 8th. It looks like Toby Komsuk is in 8th place with Ethan Cook, the 219, just behind him. Ethan Cook, a DNF yesterday on that Ridge Motorcycles entry. Much better getting those top 10 points today. There's the young rider, the 219. Coming down this front straightaway, you see Parrish just ahead of Teague Hobbs, making the pass there. And really, there's only a couple of opportunities down the front straightaway and maybe run to 11 or wherever that is that you could actually maybe draft someone. But we did see a little bit of drafting down the front yesterday.
A little bit on the front straight, and then also out of turn 8, 9, the fast right-handers that goes up the hill. You can maybe get a little draft up on somebody, but I'm not sure if that's long enough for these twins to get a good draft.
Looks like on our board, or what we're hearing, the 52 of John Knowles, who's starting in 10th, is going to get a jump start penalty. And we've seen that earlier this year with riders, if they do get called for jumping.
This year's now they've changed it to a 5-second penalty.
So it's 5 seconds. So it's not a pull-in like it was earlier
Correct.
in the year. It's 5 seconds. Good run, Mazziato. 5:16. We haven't said his name in a while, but now he's starting to put pressure on Caleb DeCarroll. A couple of Aprilias. And still holding back there is Hayden Schultz, just kind of watching all this go down. If he can keep his tires okay and let those guys kind of beat each other up a little bit, he still might be in the catbird seat, at least maybe for second. He can't let Jackson Blackmon get away if he thinks he still might have a chance of winning this race. There's the run, Mazziato. This is where he went down yesterday, right down here at the bottom.
And he made the pass on Caleb right in there on 13. You can see he was really late on the brakes. He made the pass stick.
Caleb's not going to like that either, but especially when you're on the same power plant, the same bike. And Mazziato, this is going to be his last ride that we know of. I hope to see him at, Laguna Seca at our next stop, but that bike is being prepared for Max Toth, a winner in the SportBikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class. He's going to be riding Twins Cup at Laguna Seca. I told Max I'm happy to see you there, but I'd also like to see Mazziato because he's showing that he can run with these guys very quick.
Also yesterday we seen him do a 47, so I think he still has a little bit of pace in him. And also Jackson Blackmon today is a half a second quicker than he went yesterday when he won that race. Yesterday he followed, so sometimes it can be easier to follow somebody. Today Jackson's out front doing the work himself.
And he also had his best lap that last time around, that 1:48.18, the best of the entire field. So out in front and going faster than everybody, that's a deadly combination.
But Mazziato, that first split was a half a second quicker, and you can see the gap.
Wow, you're not lying. 0.6 of a second quicker. He's starting to close in. Maybe they put the fans back on his bike as well, because we saw him go down. He was running so smooth, Roger, and I just said how smooth Mazziato was running, and he tucked it. But come to find out later on, he was losing some water, and that's what happens. It's like oil. Any type of wet, anything like that's going to throw you down. And
these two, you can tell, they're starting to kind of pull away from third and fourth.
And what he said was whenever he went forward and on the brakes and in that downhill, the water sloshed forward. that was a sure sign that, oh, this is not going to be well.
And as a rider, too, you have to be thinking about that a little bit. I had fluid on my tires yesterday. I had a crash. Some of these fast corners, you have to be thinking at some point, I hope this doesn't overheat. And, maybe that corner he crashed in yesterday was a slow one. So, I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit nervous.
I agree. Mazziato took a look back. I think just wanted to see where Caleb DeCarroll was, and maybe he could run a line and do an experiment, and not have to worry about somebody coming up underneath him or driving right around him. He can maybe find a little bit of a fast lap. And with a space like this, you can do so.
And also Anthony Mazziato last lap 47.7, which is a racetrack record, and you can tell, that doing that, he caught up to Jackson.
A couple of teammates there battling for third as well. Hayden Schultz trying to work his way up to Caleb DeCarroll. I noticed when Hayden came into the pits in that one warm-up session they had for 15 minutes, they were dialing in stuff on the rear end of Hayden Schultz's bike shock. I saw him, it looked like maybe even a pressure adjustment in that shock itself. When they came Caleb DeCarroll, when he turned in, they were actually dialing in the clickers on the front end of that bike.
Every rider's different, so whatever they're struggling with, maybe, one of them was struggling with front chatter, so they're working on the front end. Maybe the other one could have been grip.
Absolutely. Size, style of rating, there's so many variables. Pressures. Well, we've got a race for the lead. Look at this, lap 7 of 12. Mazziato takes a look back again, just sees if DeCarroll might be closing in on him, and he's not. And he has closed in on Jackson Blackmon.
It kind of looks like Mazziato's looking back to maybe not go as fast as he went yesterday, to try to keep the bike a little cooler, keep
Fresher.
the RPM down a little bit so it doesn't get as hot.
Another issue with the Aprilias in talking with several teams is also the exhaust. Just how hot that these bikes are getting, it's going to blow out the packing, and that changes things as well. They're going to get those things dialed in. I know there's some good exhaust companies out there that are working hard. There's just hadn't been any time developing these bikes quite the way that they wanted to. They're kind of having to learn as they're on the job training. And that's not one bike, that's all of the bikes.
And one good thing, though, there's a lot of different Aprilias now in the field. I'm sure all these guys are going around talking to each other, trying to make them all better.
What do you do if you're Anthony Mazziato? Do you stay behind Jackson and just try and see what he's doing and pick out a place, or do you want to just go ahead and try and get by as fast as you can?
It depends. If I didn't think my bike was gonna overheat and I had to pace, then I would try to, strike pretty quick. But it looks like now he's just gonna wait till the last couple laps and then make his push.
And at times in situations like this, get some clean air, let that bike breathe just a little bit better, but at the same time, watch, go to school, see what Jackson Blackmon's doing. Anthony Mazziato was a Junior Cup rider, same thing as Jackson Blackmon, but he'd also run some super sports since then, and I think kind of just didn't have the funding to keep his career going at the rate he wanted to. Jackson was a Junior Cup guy. Now this is his second year into the Twins Cup, but still relatively young racer.
Both these guys are, it just shows you the system that MotoAmerica has from Junior Cup. Now that they're twins, they get their feet wet on the bikes with a little more power, a little heavier before they go straight to Super Sport. And you can see now that these Junior Cup guys are starting to come in the Twins class and figuring it out pretty quick.
Looking at the tally board on the left there, looks like Teague Hobbs is ahead of Chris Parrish by only a tenth that last time that they went around. But you see DeCarroll every now and then and Schultz really close. There's that battle for 6th and 7th. Kamsuk just behind them. Battles throughout the track. There's Toby Kamsuk and Cook. But out in front, we've got a race with only 3 3/4 laps to go. And Jackson Blackmon took his first race victory yesterday, trying to go back-to-back and take the sweep here at the Ridge and Twins Cup. He's just got to hold on for 3.5 more laps, and that's probably what he's doing, because I promise you, we're going to see Mazziato run it in. There's no doubt, Roger.
And this has been a great ride for Jackson Blackmon every lap. His best lap's a 48.1. Last lap was a 48.2. All of his laps are so close, low 48s, and that's hard to do the first time you lead a race, to be that consistent, and Jackson's doing it well.
Valachi Racing Team watching Mazziato, and this is exactly what Caleb DeCarroll, as being the points leader, doesn't want to see happen too, right? If Mazziato is not able to get by Jackson Blackmon, Blackmon's going to gain, even more points and separate himself. Caleb DeCarroll right now is a big fan of Anthony Mazziato.
Definitely going to want to see him win and take those 5 points.
Three to go next time around as they downshift and to make their way towards the finish line area. Hard left-hander downhill, working their way towards the Ridge. Start finish line just ahead of them here. A little dial in. Uh-oh, is he pointing? That must mean, you know what that is? That's probably that indicator saying it's getting hot. They don't have an actual temperature gauge telling you temperature. It just moves up, and once it starts flashing red, that's when it may be getting into nuke mode, and that's when we saw Jody Berry pull in yesterday. I have a good feeling that's what he was pointing at, don't you? He was seeing flashing red.
Looks like definitely, the way he did his hand, it almost looks like when somebody does a light. So.
And that's Anthony Mazziato, the Aprilia, back in second. He come down that front straightaway and he was showing like a blinking light. And we heard from Jody Berry's father earlier today in an interview that he said when it gets to that temperature and it blinks red, that's why we pulled it in. That sure looked like the international sign for blinking. And you said at the start, if I'm not in the race or whatever, I might pull in. He's in the race. He might burn it up, but he's going to do it trying.
With 3 laps to 2.5 laps to go now, I would probably risk it. If it's just blinking.
Let's watch his replay. Watch his hand. See if this means blinking red to you.
Just pointing down.
Yeah, I think, but pointing to the dash.
Yeah, pointing to the dash. Hopefully it's just blinking, and it's, when they say it just gets hot, and it's not the where it stays on when they're at the limit.
Well, when they said that last warning is when it does start flashing. So either way, it has to be some type of a warning. That thing's getting hot. He's got to. So as a rider, and you know that you can't stay in the tracks of Jackson Blackmon at every opportunity. You've got to kind of get away, let that airflow come through that radiator.
And also for a rider knowing that had a crash the day before because it overheated, got fluid on the tire.
True.
You have to be, a little bit worried.
Somebody down. That's the 219 of Cook. Oh, man. And he was in 9th place until that happened. And he's just going to drop down. And that is sad with only 2 1/4 laps to go. Mazziato runs to the outside. He might be trying for a pass here, but
no, I think he was getting out.
Yes.
So
getting that clean air.
Yeah. Get all the air possible in the radiator and try to cool it down.
And then also it kind of opens up the door if he can go out to in and just do something different. I would be looking for every opposite move of Jackson Blackmon right now. If he goes inside, swing a little wider. Put the pressure on him in a different way. Scare him a little. Get in his head, Roger. Let him hear you. He can hear it now.
It looks like this lap, he's probably going to make his move.
Yeah, and then try and pull away where he can have that clean air. You hear it in NASCAR all the time. I need to get out in front. I need that clean air. That's what Anthony Mazziato's looking for right now. Watch him. He's going to be going to underneath right there, a little bit lower line. Not going to make that pass. Great move by Blackmon.
No, but after he goes through this right-hander, this is where I was talking about some of these guys can get a really good run out here.
Just see what the guy does in front of you. Look at Blackmon goes low to high.
This is that run up to turn 11 where we've seen a lot of passes in the previous classes.
Too much space right there. Too much space, Roger. Nice charged in, a little smoother on those brakes. He'd love to do it now and see if he could pull away. But once again, if this thing is overheating on those downhills and those hard braking zones, you have to question, will I slosh water onto that front tire and throw me down like it did yesterday? Anthony Mazziato, is who we're talking about. He was in first yesterday and went down right there. It didn't happen that time, so he knows he's still good. I didn't see any bobble at all. He's going to have one lap to prove himself, Roger.
But also, Jackson's kind of made a little bit of a break that lap.
Especially when Mazziato closed in that one time. If he could hear him, he said, okay, I got to do it now. I mean, I've got to push as hard as I pushed the entire race. And that Yamaha is fast. It's a proven motor. Very similar motor than what we saw last year, I believe, with Caleb DeCarroll riding when he was on the Yamaha. I think Sam McDonald, Cooper McDonald's father, builds that engine. I'm almost certain. A very strong engine builder, former national champion. Look at this. Now he's got the drive once again. He's in the heat of that, or in the meat of that power.
You can see Jackson on the inside going to block. He's not going to leave a door open.
But look at this drive. He's going to get a really good drive. Mazziato on that outside. You see the sparks flying. Good drive coming out of these turns. Just set up opposite. Blackmon again going to that inside. Drifts wide here. Mazziato looking for a way around. Anthony Mazziato, the 5-1-6, trying for his first victory in MotoAmerica Twins. Jackson Blackmon had his shot yesterday and took that win. Mazziato using all that track, trying to drive out.
He just wants to get close enough where he can make a dive and turn 13.
One move, and if you guard, if you're Jackson Blackmon, you're also slowing yourself down. Does Jackson guard, or does he take a racing line? He's guarding. He's guarding in the middle. He kicks his leg out. Watch Mazziato right here, going to try and dive underneath. Gets a good drive. Boy, he went middle of the road as you could possibly get, Roger.
And the tricky part when you do that in the middle, it's really hard to get it stopped. Jackson did a good job there and blocked.
Going to be a drag race down there. Mazziato with a good run. Now we'll see if the draft, is there one at all? He's going to be in the tow. He's saying, hey, I kept you running. Mazziato's going to take second, but congratulations to Jackson Blackmon. Back-to-back wins here at the Ridge over Anthony Mazziato. Caleb DeCarroll only 3 seconds behind in third. Still a good points day for him. Hayden Schultz in fourth. Jody Berry and Teague Hobbs in the line. Is going to be Hobbs ahead of Berry, who's in sixth. And doing it for the old guy should be Chris Parrish coming across in seventh. That's not the case. Toby Komsuk making a pass on that last lap ahead of Chris Parrish. Well, he did it. I mean, it came to that one turn. I was like, was he going to go inside? Was he going to go out? He went dead straight center middle, but he shut her down somehow.
Almost looked like he kind of caught him off guard, Mazziato off guard a little bit. You could tell at first he was wanting to go to the inside, and then he seen Jackson blocked it, tried to go to the outside.
Little indecision. If Jackson would have said definitively in or out, he could have done the opposite. Here's the attempt on that last lap. That is his middle road, and he was hanging that leg out.
and you can see just how hard it is to make this corner, move back out for the entry, and then Mazziato's just out wide, hoping that he blows the apex and he can get the run down.
He was praying that Jackson would drift wide and be out there near that outer, paint, but that didn't happen. Good run. I mean, sometimes it takes a good block to win a race, and that was the case right there. That was a very good block. And they both can wheelie to the victory podium.
That was an outstanding ride by Jackson Blackmon to lead flag to flag, having pressure on him the whole race, never making a mistake. His lap times were really consistent.
And also, look at that Ethan Cook that he's picking up that had problems earlier. But think about the points day it was for Jackson Blackmon as well. You get 25 points for first. Caleb DeCarroll got 16 points for third. So, I mean, he made up 9 in this one race. Plus, you throw in the yesterday as well. This is a good weekend. I mean, Jackson Blackmon, I mean, you can't ask for much better out of him.
Look at these lap times on the right. Look at from lap 5 to all the way to 9.
Green's his best, but look at the consistency, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I don't even know if this is a track he likes. You know, I mean, he likes it now.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a new favorite track.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are going to be going to Laguna Seca, where we know Caleb DeCarroll likes that track. He won there a couple of years ago, one of the best come-through-the-pack races I've ever seen. He came, I think, from 13th to take the victory.
Also, Jackson's got himself back in this points pretty quick.
That's what I'm saying.
He spotted the guys 2 races.
But we had the throwaway. Remember, Caleb DeCarroll had that mechanical that took out the field and himself. So, I mean, that was a dead even one there. So he really is only 1 race behind. But he's less than that now in points. Race highlights, Anthony Mazziato's with a good run on the line, but so was Jackson Blackmon. The way they started poles, the way they finished that first turn.
Jackson made that pass right into 1.
That was important. We saw a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of Aprilia action up near the front. Caleb DeCarroll in second for a while, as was Hayden Schultz and Anthony Mazziato battling it out for the first third of that race. Mazziato then found his way by, put the pressure on Jackson Blackmon all the way till the end. And look at him. He's saying that this thing's overheating. We didn't know if he'd be able to last, but that one good blocking move right there, that could have been the definitive turn. But not able to do it. And a little pat of the windscreen for Anthony Mazziato, thanking his Aprilia for getting him to the finish line, and he'll now hand that bike over to Max Toth at Laguna Seca. But Jackson Blackmon back-to-back wins.
2 in a row, Elliot, and you earned that one the whole way, every lap.
Earned it.
You were on me the whole time.
No doubt he was on you the whole time. That was a lot of pressure from the barber, Anthony Mazziato. Jackson Blackmon, Anthony Mazziato, Caleb DeCarroll, your podium. But the Aprilia, Hayden Schultz, Teague Hobbs, Jody Berry, Toby Comstock, and that's like 6 Aprilias near that top 10. The Suzukis were the only other bikes in that top 10. Hobbs, Parrish, and Knowles. First Yamaha we see is Alex Taylor back in 11th. Sam Weiss getting things going today, finishing in 14th, taking some points. Ryan Snooks on the outside looking in that points category. Going back-to-back here in the Twins Cup. Action, Jackson does it again. Big Mo is on his side, Michael. He's got that momentum.
Yeah, we have a saying in Europe that wins are like waiting for a bus. You wait for one and then 2 come along at once. And that's certainly the case for Jackson Blackmon. There is no stopping you at the Ridge Motorsports Park. Cracking job today. 50 points for Yamaha and for you and for the championship. Great job.
Oh my God, that was just an awesome race. We made a change this morning in warm-up, and it was so perfect. You know, I got to give a big thank you to all the Yamaha guys and my dad. You know, it's just me and my dad. It was the support of Yamaha making it happen out here. You know, and we just threw on a shock, different spring rate. Shot in warm up, and I was like, I don't have any complaints. And in the race, it definitely played off. I was running a good second, almost second and a half faster than my race pace yesterday. I got out front, and I remember this time, I can't take that breath in the middle. I took that breathe in the middle of the race yesterday, and that's when Caleb got by me. So I just acted as if somebody was right behind me the whole time, which Anthony was, and he was hauling. I thought for sure he was going to try it up the inside in the bus stop, so I tried to block it out. And once we got in the last turn, I knew I could kind of park it and use that Yamaha power. I got a big thank you to Yamaha, Yamalube, Track Day winner, HJC, 1X, GP Tech, Ridge Motorsports, Roaring Toys. Big thank you to Dale Quarterly. He's always been behind me. A big thank you to my girlfriend, Chloe, for all her support, my dad, my mom, my grandparents. Man, I'm just having a blast, and we're getting it done.
He certainly is getting it done, and the biggest smile in Park Ferme is Jackson Blackmon.
He didn't do the Southern. He didn't say getting her done. He said we're getting it done, and he is, and he's moving up the championship standings closer and closer to Caleb DeCarroll. But Action Jackson, you see it on his rear end there, and he takes his second win of the weekend. The Barber looked pretty darn good today, and he kept that Aprilia going today.
Yeah, I'm down here with Anthony Mazziotto. What a difference 24 hours makes. And just talk us through that final lap and that little pat of appreciation for not letting go on the last lap. You were talking to the Aprilia RS60 throughout that race, I'm sure, but great job, great podium, well done.
Well, first off, it's a he, not a she. Just 'cause I got this long flow don't mean I'm a girl. But yeah, it was a great race. I was riding this thing as hard as I possibly could. We were in the low 48s, which is really fast for this kind of condition. We had to do a couple things to the bike because we overheated yesterday and lost a bunch of fluid, put on the front tire, just crashed out of the lead. So bike was a tad bit slow today, but I just tried to hang on to the back of Jackson. That thing was ripping, and he was riding that thing stupid fast. Definitely way better, way more improvement than yesterday. So congrats to him, and thanks to the whole team, Veloce, Nobi, my crew. You guys definitely made it happen. My first podium since 2018. This feels fucking awesome.
Apologies again for the choice language there as we go back to the booth.
Thanks, Michael, and no offense to Anthony. When I was saying her, I was referring to the bike, and then I switched it to he, meaning him. Not that girl's got a thick mustache, but either way, Caleb DeCarroll going to finish third. He's got the points lead, and now we'll get to hear if he's happy with that third place finish, because I'm sure it was a struggle for him out there today.
Yeah, I'm down here with Caleb DeCarroll. Another podium, solid points for the championship, and I know you wanted to win, but you got to think the long game.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we're in this thing for the long haul, and overall, I just want to keep improving every weekend and keep developing this Aprilia RS660. Me and my team are working super hard on getting me comfortable, and I just can't thank them enough for all their hard work. They've been working their butts off this weekend in the heat, just like us riders have. Eric has been working his butt off. Mike, my mechanic. I got to give a huge thank you for Matt and Sarah. They put together this amazing team for me to ride with, and I'm absolutely loving it. Being able to come here and show up and have an amazing team to help me out is a huge help, and I just got to give it up to all my sponsors. 1833 CJ Knows has been supporting me forever, and Bitcoin Bandit, Von Lewis Muse Group, Bob Cycle Supply, Moto Liberty, everybody who helps out the team. We can't do this without you. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'm just super stoked on how we performed at the Ridge, and hopefully we can move on to Laguna with momentum.
We'll see you there.
And a track that he does love, and a race victory as well at Laguna Seca in the Twins Cup. But right now, you got to beat the guy that's on the roll, and that's Jackson Blackmon. Really impressed by him, Roger, as we take a look at the updated standings. Jackson getting some valuable points, and now less than a handful. 3 points separates Jackson Blackmon and Caleb DeCarroll. Teague in third, but now 23 points arrears.
Still Teague Hobbs, you know, tough weekend this weekend, lost quite a bit of points, but we've seen him a couple races this year being one of the strongest guys. So even though he lost some points this weekend, keep your head down and fight your way back in it.
And you see 23 down. Think about it. We saw 9 differential today. We could even see bigger variances later on down the road. Teague Hobbs, one good race for him was New Jersey. And we'll head there later on this year as well. As you see the points as we work through our field. Cliff Ramsdale in 25th now in championship points. 2 races down, 3 more still to go. We've got a lot more racing ahead of us here at the Komatsu MotoAmerica Superbikes at the Ridge. Action Jackson does it again in Twins Cup. Coming up next, it's Super Sport here in just a bit.